Nia Jenkins glanced at the clock, a chill of anxiety creeping over her as the minutes bled away towards her last bus home. Just then, a shrill click echoed in her headset. Another irate customer had hung up abruptly, leaving her with a frustrated sigh and a racing heart. Apex Auto and Info, Nia speaking. How may I assist you? Her voice, though tired, remained a calm, steady anchor against the stormy demands of the caller. She meticulously noted down the details of a complicated engine issue, offering solutions with a practiced grace. Brenda, her colleague, leaned against the counter, filing her nails with a loud scrape. Still playing Mother Teresa, Nia? They walk all over you, you know. Doesn't get you anywhere but tired. Nia only tightened her grip on the headset, her gaze fixed on the glowing computer screen. A faded photograph tucked into the corner of her monitor brought a soft, wistful look to Nia's eyes. Her younger sister Maya, grinning toothily. Maya's college tuition, their shared small apartment, the dreams of a better future. These were the weights Nia carried, the quiet reasons she endured every rude call, every cynical remark. Her patience wasn't just a job requirement, it was a shield, a promise. Nia walked a brief report into Mr. Henderson's cramped, invoice-laden office. He sat hunched over his desk, rubbing temples that pulsed with stress. Another slow month, Nia, he sighed, taking the papers without looking up. Tough times. Every penny counts. Now more than ever. Nia nodded, understanding the unspoken implication. The small, independent garage was barely treading water. Back at the reception, Brenda tidied up her own immaculate desk. Remember that old lady you spent 20 minutes explaining tire rotation to, Nia? She asked, not truly expecting an answer. Called back today, complaining about the price. See? Too soft. You're too soft for this job. You give an inch, they take a mile. Nia merely sighed, a subtle, weary exhalation as the bell above the door jingled. A man stepped inside, looking utterly out of place. His clothes, though slightly rumpled, hinted at quality, but his disheveled hair and wide, lost eyes spoke of confusion. He clutched a worn map, his gaze sweeping the empty waiting area before landing on Nia. Excuse me, he began, his voice carrying a subtle, unfamiliar accent. I am quite lost. Could you direct me to a suitable establishment for the evening? The bell above the door had barely finished jingling before Nia realized this wasn't a quick, which way to the highway kind of lost. The man, still slightly disheveled, fumbled with a sleek but clearly dead smartphone. His accent was thick, unfamiliar, and his eyes held a genuine bewilderment that tugged at Nia's patient nature. No, my device. It is uncooperative, he said, gesturing helplessly at the dark screen. And I confess, the city lights, they are disorienting. Nia, despite the late hour and her aching feet, felt a familiar surge of empathy. Your phone's dead? No problem. Let me see if I can help you find a hotel nearby. I have my own phone right here. She reached for her personal device, ignoring the subtle internal groan that reminded her of the ticking clock for her last bus. From her perch by the coat rack, Brenda observed Nia's impromptu concierge service with a theatrical sigh. Brenda was already zipping up her bag, keys jingling impatiently. Honestly, Nia, she muttered, loud enough for the quiet office to carry her voice. You're going to miss your bus for this? Some people just need to figure things out for themselves. She rolled her eyes, a gesture so exaggerated it was almost comical, but the sting of her words was real. Giving away free service, giving away your time. That's why you're always stuck here, Nia. Too soft for this job. Nia heard her, of course, but didn't even flinch. She simply tilted her head slightly, her focus unwavering on the man, who watched Brenda's departure with an unreadable stillness. The streetlights outside now cast long, skeletal shadows through the reception window, painting the room in hues of indigo and amber. Nia's fingers flew across her phone screen, navigating through hotel booking sites, comparing prices, and checking availability. Okay, she explained, her voice calm and clear. This one is a little further, but has good reviews for quiet. This one is closer, but might be a bit noisier. And this one, she pointed to a third option, is a budget-friendly choice, if you don't mind a smaller room. The tourist listened intently, his head cocked slightly, his steady gaze fixed on Nia's face, not the screen, absorbing her every explanation. He seemed to be studying her diligence more than the details of the hotels. As Nia scrolled, A flicker of movement caught her eye. The old wall clock above Mr. Henderson's office door. Its hands had crept past the departure time of her last bus. A cold pang hit her stomach, a familiar sensation of weary resignation. She was miles from her small apartment, and the night was only getting colder. She'd have to walk. Again. A subtle grimace tugged at the corner of her mouth, quickly suppressed. No one needed to know the quiet sacrifice. She pushed the thought down, deep into the recesses of her mind, and refocused on the glowing screen of her phone, her hand hovering over the Book Now button. "Which one do you prefer?" she asked, her voice betraying none of her internal worry. The office hummed with the low thrum of the ancient refrigerator and the quiet click of Nia's phone. In the stillness, the tourist's gaze was intense, unwavering. He didn't interrupt, didn't fidget. He simply watched Nia, absorbing the subtle lines of weariness around her eyes, the determined set of her jaw, the patient curve of her lips. As she spoke, he noted the way she pushed aside her own concerns, evident in that fleeting glance at the clock, to ensure his comfort. His eyes, though still conveying a lost innocence, now also held a depth, an unreadable quality that hinted at far more than simple disorientation. He was watching, truly watching, and in that quiet observation, a silent evaluation was taking place. Finally, Nia found a suitable option and, with a few more taps, secured the booking. "There you go," she said, handing him her phone to show the confirmation. "All set. It's a taxi ride away, but it's a good place." The tourist took the phone, his fingers brushing hers, and a warmth spread through him that wasn't just gratitude. He bowed his head slightly, a small, respectful gesture. "Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. Truly, you have helped a lost traveler immensely." His eyes held a profound depth, a meaning that went far beyond mere thanks. He turned and, with a quiet dignity, shuffled out of the diner. Nia watched him go, then her shoulders slumped, the relief of helping him immediately replaced by the heavy weight of her own long walk home. The stranger was gone, but her problem had just begun. The city was a blur of dark, wet concrete and flickering streetlights. Nia Jenkins pulled her thin jacket tighter, the late-night chill biting through the fabric. Her feet ached, each step a heavy reminder of the miles she had to cover. The last bus had departed almost an hour ago, leaving her to navigate the long, lonely journey home. She could have left the lost tourist to fend for himself. Dismissed him like Brenda surely would have. A flicker of doubt, cold and sharp, tried to pierce her resolve. Was it worth it? She wondered, her breath fogging in the air, but then she pictured his lost, grateful eyes. Yes, asterisk, she decided. The weariness in her bones momentarily eclipsed by a quiet certainty. Goodness, it was. The next morning, Nia was the first to arrive at Apex Auto and Info. The fluorescent lights hummed a lonely tune as she meticulously wiped down the counter, her movements precise despite the lingering fatigue. The first rays of sunlight struggled through the grime on the windows, painting weak stripes across the dusty floor. Just as she finished organizing the intake forms, the door chimed, announcing Brenda's arrival. Brenda breezed in, her coffee cup steaming, and immediately spotted Nia. "Well, look at our resident hero," she drawled, a smirk playing on her lips. "Up early after your grand adventure? Hope that lost soul appreciated you missing your bus, Nia. Some people just don't know when to quit." The phone lines at Apex Auto and Info lit up like a Christmas tree. Nia slipped on her headset, the familiar weight a comfort despite the barrage of voices it would bring. "Apex Auto, Nia speaking. How can I help you?" she recited, her voice a calm anchor amidst the storm. A frustrated client demanded an immediate diagnostic for a sputtering engine. Another insisted on a discount for a service they hadn't even received yet. Nia listened, her expression unruffled, her fingers flying across the keyboard to pull up accounts and schedules. She offered solutions, de-escalated tempers, and reassured the anxious, her patience a bottomless well, even as the blinking lights on her phone system pulsed with endless demands. During a brief lull, Nia moved to refill the paper in the printer, just out of sight of the reception desk. She heard Brenda's voice, hushed but still cutting through the quiet. "Can you believe it, Mr. Henderson?" Nia missed her last bus home, walked miles in the dark, all for some tourist who couldn't even find a hotel on his own phone. Said he was disoriented. Probably just lazy. Mr. Henderson's mumbled reply was indistinguishable, but Nia saw his silhouette pause, his head turning towards her hidden corner. He gave her a quick, worried glance, a silent question in his eyes, before turning back to Brenda. Nia pretended not to notice, her jaw tightening imperceptibly. Lunch break found Nia at her desk, picking at a modest sandwich. The office hummed with a different kind of quiet now, the midday reprieve. She looked at the worn photo of her younger sister tucked into her desk organizer. Her sister's bright, hopeful smile was a constant reminder of why she pushed through. Brenda's words, Mr. Henderson's worried glance, they echoed in her mind. Some might call it foolish, this unwavering commitment to kindness. But as Nia considered her actions, replaying the tourist's genuine relief, she knew with a deep, unwavering certainty she wouldn't have done anything differently. Her inner compass pointed true, even if the path was harder. Mid-afternoon brought a new challenge. A customer called, demanding an impossible repair timeline for their vehicle. "I need my car by tomorrow morning," the voice insisted, sharp with impatience. "It's critical. Can't you just make it happen?" Nia took a deep breath. "Sir, I understand this is urgent," she began, her voice calm and steady. "However, the diagnostic alone will take several hours, and we need to order a specific part. The earliest we could realistically have it ready is Friday afternoon. I can, however, arrange a rental car for you at a discounted rate through our partners, or prioritize your repair first thing Friday if that helps." The clock on the wall crept past closing time. The office was quiet, the chairs empty, Brenda long gone. Only Nia remained, her headset still firmly in place. She was on the phone, patiently navigating a complex insurance claim for a customer whose car had been totaled. The conversation stretched on, each detail requiring careful explanation and reassurance. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the issue was resolved. Nia sighed, a soft, tired sound, as she hung up the phone. Another late night. Another missed opportunity to catch an earlier bus. Her temples throbbed, but the customer's relieved thanks had been a small, fleeting comfort. Back in her small apartment, the silence was a welcome balm. Nia peeled off her jacket, her movements slow with exhaustion. She walked to the fridge, her eyes finding the colorful drawing her younger sister had made for her years ago, a stick-figure family holding hands under a bright, improbable sun. A faint smile touched Nia's lips. The struggles were real, the exhaustion constant, the cynicism of others a heavy burden. But in that drawing, in the quiet hope it represented, Nia found her strength. She believed in a better future, a future where her kindness would not be a weakness, but a guiding light. A few days later, the air in Apex Auto and Info hung heavy with the unspoken. Nia found Mr. Henderson in his cramped office, the usual piles of invoices on his desk seeming to grow taller. A stark notice about late payments was taped to the wall. He ran a weary hand over his thinning hair, his shoulders slumped. "Nia," he began, his voice strained. "About that raise we discussed, I just can't. Not now. Every penny counts, and we're barely keeping the lights on." Nia's heart sank, a familiar ache. She forced a small, understanding smile. "It's okay, Mr. Henderson, I get it." She did. She always did. The aroma of stale coffee hung in the break room as Brenda, ever the prophet of doom, leaned against the counter, heard Mr. Henderson talking to the landlord again. She announced loudly, though Nia was the only other person there, "Sounds like Apex is circling the drain. Wouldn't surprise me if we're all out of a job by next month." She glanced at Nia, a knowing smirk playing on her lips. "Especially people who are too soft for this business. You know, the kind who go out of their way for strangers. First ones to get cut." Nia's jaw tightened, but she kept her gaze fixed on the empty coffee pot, pretending not to hear the thinly veiled jab. The phone shrilled, cutting through the uneasy silence. Nia took the call, her professional demeanor instantly clicking into place. But this customer was different. His voice, a grating roar, accused her of incompetence, of misplacing parts, of ruining his week. "Are you even listening? Or are you just some glorified answering machine?" he bellowed. Nia's replies were measured, calm, her words a soothing balm against his fury. But beneath the counter, her white-knuckled grip on the phone receiver betrayed her. A single tear welled in her eye, escaping its prison to trace a hot path down her cheek, unnoticed by the angry voice on the other end. After the call finally ended, Nia hung up, her hand trembling slightly. She walked to the quiet corner behind the counter, leaning against the cold chrome of the coffee machine. She caught her reflection in its polished surface. Tired eyes, a faint crease of worry on her brow. Was Brenda right? Was her patience a weakness in this relentless world? Should she be tougher, more cynical, less inclined to give so much of herself? For a fleeting moment, the thought took root. But then, she shook her head. A silent refusal. No. This was who she was. This was her strength. Just as Nia was about to return to her desk, the bell above the door jingled softly. Her head snapped up, standing in the entrance, looking around with the same quiet intensity as before, was the lost tourist from days ago. The man whose hotel she had booked on her own phone, missing her last bus home. Nia recognized him instantly, a gasp catching in her throat. Surprise, then a flicker of confusion crossed her face. Why was he back? What did he want? The room fell silent, the mundane hum of the office suddenly amplified. The man stepped further into the shop, his presence subtly different this time. He was still dressed modestly, but the disheveled air was gone, replaced by a quiet dignity. His posture was straighter, his movements more deliberate. As he approached the counter, his gaze, intelligent and steady, locked with Nia's. A faint, knowing smile touched his lips, a smile that hinted at secrets and understandings far beyond the simple directions he'd once sought. Nia felt a prickle of unease, a sense that the man before her was far more than he appeared. He stopped directly in front of her, his eyes never leaving hers. "Miss Jenkins," he said, his accent still present but now imbued with a smooth, almost musical quality. "I trust the hotel I stayed in was satisfactory, thanks to your exceptional assistance." He paused, then continued. "I came back to thank you properly, and to say I believe I have an opportunity for you, one I think you would be perfect for." He reached into his coat pocket, pulling out a small, pristine business card, which he laid on the counter. Nia stared at it, bewildered, then back at him. "An opportunity? From a lost tourist?" "It's rather delicate," he explained, gesturing toward Mr. Henderson's office. "Perhaps we could discuss it in private?" Nia, still reeling from his words, glanced at the closed office door, then back at the man, a nervous flutter in her stomach. Hesitantly, she nodded. As they stepped inside the small, cluttered office, the man closed the door behind them, the soft click echoing in the sudden quiet. He turned to face Nia, his expression serious, his eyes holding a depth she hadn't noticed before. The moment of truth was at hand. Her life was about to change forever. The ambassador, no longer fumbling but radiating a quiet authority, reached into the inner pocket of his coat. He pulled out a slender, pristine business card, its edges sharp, its texture unexpectedly rich. He extended it across Mr. Henderson's cluttered desk, his gaze steady on Nia. "My apologies for the deception, Ms. Jenkins," he said, his voice now devoid of any accent, clear and resonant. "I should introduce myself properly." Nia's hand, still trembling slightly from the previous customer, reached out to take the card. The elegant script seemed to dance before her eyes. Ambassador Kalen Thorne, Embassy of Eldoria. The words hit her like a physical blow, stealing her breath. Her mind reeled, trying to reconcile the disheveled tourist with the polished dignitary before her. A faint, knowing smile played on the ambassador's lips, observing her shock. "You see, Miss Jenkins," Ambassador Thorne continued, his voice softer now, yet still carrying immense weight, "my country is in a unique position. We are rebuilding, and we seek not just intellect but character. True character. I came to this city to observe, to find individuals who embody the very best of humanity, often hidden in plain sight." He paused, allowing his words to sink in. "I watched you. I watched you patiently endure abuse, calmly navigate impossible demands, and most importantly, I watched you give your time, your energy, and even your last bus home to a complete stranger who presented no immediate benefit to you. You did it without question, without judgment, even when others mocked your foolishness. You were tested, Ms. Jenkins, And you passed in ways I never imagined possible." Nia's vision blurred as tears welled, reflecting the fluorescent office light. His words were a balm to a soul that had long carried the silent burden of misunderstanding. Ambassador Thorne leaned forward slightly, placing a sleek folder on the desk. "Eldoria needs people like you. People with your rare blend of intellect, resilience, and profound empathy. We are building a new diplomatic corps, one founded on genuine connection and understanding, not just protocol." He opened the folder, revealing official documents. "I am offering you a position, Ms. Jenkins, as a diplomatic liaison at the Eldorian Embassy. It's a role that requires precise communication, cultural sensitivity, and an unwavering commitment to bridging divides. Skills you have demonstrated beyond measure here at Apex Auto and Info." Nia stared at the papers, then back at the ambassador. A diplomatic liaison? The words felt foreign, fantastical, yet undeniably real. This wasn't just a job. It was an entirely new life, a chasm away from her worn headset and endless phone calls. A single tear escaped, tracing a path down Nia's cheek. The weight of the offer was immense, a culmination of every late night, every rude customer, every missed bus. She thought of her sister, of the faded drawing on her desk, of the dreams she'd tucked away for a someday that always felt just out of reach. This wasn't just a chance for her. It was a chance for them, a chance to finally breathe, to build a life where kindness wasn't a liability, but a celebrated strength. The cynicism, the doubt, the weariness, all of it faded, replaced by a surge of fierce hope. This was the moment. This was her leap. Nia took a deep, trembling breath. Her voice, though soft, was clear and resolute. "Yes," she managed, a faint smile breaking through her tears. "Yes, Ambassador Thorne, I accept." A warm smile spread across the ambassador's face, a genuine expression of satisfaction. He extended his hand, and Nia met it, her grip surprisingly firm. "I had no doubt, Miss Jenkins," he said, his eyes reflecting a profound respect. "Eldoria will be fortunate to have you." They stood for a moment, a silent acknowledgement passing between them, before the ambassador gestured towards the office door. The news, Nia knew, was about to spread like wildfire. The door to Mr. Henderson's cramped office swung open. Nia emerged, a quiet strength radiating from her, a faint, almost imperceptible smile playing on her lips. Beside her, Ambassador Caleb Thorne stood taller, his presence now commanding, his earlier dishevelment entirely gone from memory. Brenda, who had been loudly recounting a particularly egregious customer complaint to Mr. Henderson, froze mid-sentence, her jaw dropping. Mr. Henderson's eyes, usually narrowed with worry, widened to saucers. The ambassador swept his gaze across the reception area, a subtle, knowing authority in his eyes. "Miss Jenkins," he announced, his voice clear and resonant, "will be transitioning to a new role at the Eldorian Embassy, effective immediately." The silence that followed was absolute, heavy with disbelief, and the sudden, shattering realization of Brenda's past judgments. Ambassador Thorne offered Nia a brief, respectful nod, then departed, leaving behind a bewildered Brenda and a stunned Mr. Henderson. Brenda, her face a blotchy red, fumbled for words. "Nia, I mean, wow, an embassy. Who knew that? That kindness thing would actually pay off." Her voice trailed off, a bitter tang of envy clinging to her forced congratulations. Nia turned to her, her expression calm, serene. There was no hint of, "I told you so." No triumphant smirk. "It's simply about doing what's right, Brenda," Nia said softly, her voice carrying a newfound quiet dignity. Brenda just stared, her cynicism crumbling into an awkward, silent regret. Mr. Henderson, however, pushed past Brenda with a genuine, if still slightly stunned, smile. He reached out and grasped Nia's hand firmly. "Nia," he began, his voice thick with emotion, I always knew you were special. You have a good heart, and it takes courage to keep it, especially in this business. I'm so incredibly proud of you, truly." His eyes, usually filled with the burden of bills, now shone with genuine admiration. Nia squeezed his hand, a grateful warmth spreading through her chest. "Thank you, Mr. Henderson. It means a lot." In that moment, surrounded by the worn but familiar confines of Apex Auto and Info, a silent, mutual respect passed between them. The next morning, Nia returned to Apex Auto and Info for the last time. She moved with a quiet purpose, clearing her desk. The worn photo of her sister, the pen with the chewed cap, the half-empty mug, each item a small relic of her past struggles. She placed her sister's drawing carefully into her bag, a symbol of the future she was now building. She took one last look at her workstation, the worn counter where she'd faced so much frustration, so much doubt. It wasn't goodbye to a job. It was goodbye to a chapter, a life defined by quiet endurance. A new horizon awaited. Days later, Nia stepped into the grand, bustling lobby of the Eldorian embassy. Gone were the frayed apron and the tired uniform. She was impeccably dressed, her posture confident, her smile bright and genuine. The air hummed with foreign languages and important conversations. Colleagues, diverse and professional, greeted her with respectful nods. She moved through the impressive halls with a natural grace, as if she had always belonged here, her intellect and empathy already making a positive impression. This wasn't just a new job. It was a world perfectly suited to her unique gifts. In the ambassador's elegant office, Kalen Thorne welcomed Nia, a warm, knowing smile on his face. "Ms. Jenkins," he said, gesturing to a comfortable chair, "welcome to Eldoria. I trust your transition has been smooth." He paused, his gaze steady. "Remember why you are here, Nia. Your empathy, your unwavering patience, your quiet intelligence. These are not weaknesses to be exploited, but strengths to be leveraged. They are precisely what my country needs in its diplomatic relations." Nia met his gaze, a deep sense of empowerment washing over her. She nodded, understanding that her journey had truly come full circle. Months passed, and Nia thrived. In the busy reception area of the Eldorian embassy, she expertly assisted a delegate from a contentious region, her calm demeanor diffusing tension, her articulate words building bridges. Her patience, once scoffed at, was now a celebrated asset. Her intelligence, honed by years of navigating difficult conversations, shone brightly. She looked out at the city, no longer a weary commuter, but a vital part of a global community. A profound sense of belonging filled her. Nia's story echoed a powerful truth. True integrity, coupled with unwavering intellect, was indeed the greatest power of all.